friends and family and all those who listen to Bible stories. Please remember to share, subscribe, and like. Today I'm going to continue the story about Joseph and his brethren. We left off where he was sold to the Ishmaelites by his brothers, and he went down to Egypt, to the land of Egypt. Now when he got there with the Ishmaelites, this then turned around and sold him to the Egyptians. He was sold to the captain of the guard. His name was Potiphar. He was a big one in the army, you know. I guess he had his soldiers under him, and he had a big house and a beautiful wife and all that stuff. But there was something about this young man that Potiphar was drawn to. And he realized that God was with Joseph, because while Joseph was there working with him, everything that he did was, you know, he prospered, he was doing well. And he recognized that God was with Joseph. You know, and it just goes to show that when God is with you, it doesn't matter what someone else would think or do. He's with you, because he said in his word, I will never leave you or forsake you. So here is Joseph in the house of Potiphar, doing well. Now he's like a manager. And the Bible says that Potiphar, it got to the point where he did not check on anything. Joseph was like his overseer / manager. All he knew was what he ate at the table. He left everything over to him. So one day, Potiphar's wife, she decided to take a second look at Joseph. And she continued doing that. And she continued harassing him, so to speak, to have an affair with her. And he would not. He would always, you know, find a way to escape from her. So one day, I think it's safe to say that she made sure that everyone was out of the house when Joseph went in there to take care of his business. The Bible says he went in there to take care of his business. And I guess it's safe to assume that she made sure no one was there, because she had a plan. And so she approached him and he said, listen, your husband has given me charge over everything. He doesn't even know what he has and what he doesn't have, because he trusts me. The only thing he's kept from me is you, because you're his wife. Now, why would I do this and sin against God? Mind you, he didn't say sin against Potiphar. He said sin against God, because God made those laws. He made those rules. Thou shalt not covet, and thou shalt not commit adultery. And Joseph knew those laws. So when she realized that he wasn't going to take heed to her, she grabbed a hold of him. And he ran. And in trying to get away from her, you know, he let go of the coat, because his objective was to get out of there. So what she did was, oh, I got this coat in my hand. Now what am I going to do? So she screamed, help. And of course, they came running, the guards and whatnot. My husband brought this Hebrew in here to mock me. He tried to, well, the Bible doesn't say rape, but, you know, tried to lie with me. And I screamed hard, and look, he ran and left his coat in my hand. And so she put the coat, I guess she made sure it was on the bed next to her, you know, make it look very authentic. And when her husband came home, she repeated the same thing to him. She said, I screamed with a loud voice, that Hebrew you brought here to mock me. You know, how could you do that? She probably turned on him as if to say he did something wrong. And of course, poor Joseph was cast into prison. He was put into prison because how are you going to try to sleep with your boss's wife? And some pastors, I've heard it said that Potiphar must have had some inkling that Joseph would not do anything like that, because something like that, a crime, he would have been and not just put into prison. But, you know, those are speculations that make sense. And he was cast into prison. Now, even in the prison, when he got into the prison guard he found favor with the prison guard, and the prison guard liked him and put him in charge of the other prisoners. You know, just telling me you can't win when it comes to God. He is the total and complete winner. We can try whatever, but he has the ultimate say. So while he was in prison, after a while, there were two men that was cast into prison, two of his prisoners. One was the butler and one was the baker for the king. And both of them had dreams on the same night. Well, you know, all who knew Joseph recognized that he wasn't just an ordinary man, even though he was ordinary, but he wasn't, if you know what I mean. There was something special about him, and that's because God's Spirit was with him. So they had dreams, and he looked at them. He said, "Why are you looking so sad? What's wrong?" And they said, "Well, we had these dreams, and it's bothering us. Something isn't, you know, it's not an ordinary dream." And so he said, "Tell me, maybe I can help you. Dreams and interpretations come from God." So the butler said, "I had a dream that there was the grapes. There were 3 branches, and I had the king's cup in my hand, and I was pressing the grapes and making juice like I usually do, and I give it to the king, and he drank from it." And Joseph said, "Oh, I guess he thought about it, and God revealed it to him." He said, "What it means is that in 3 days, the king is going to take you out of here and give you your job back, and you're going to continue working as before." And he was happy. He's like, "Yes." So the baker was inspired now. Well, you know, that came out good for the butler. So maybe he has good interpretations for me as well. So he said, "I dreamt that I had a basket on my head with 3 different types of meat, and the birds of the air came and they were eating the meat out of, you know, from the basket on my head." And so Joseph said, "Well, I guess," he said, "I'm sorry, your news is not as good as your friend, the butler, but what is going to happen in 3 days, you are going to be taken up out of here and you will die. You will be hanged. And the birds are going to eat your remains," pretty much. That was pretty, not a good, I guess he wish he hadn't told that dream. I know I would have. Anyway, in 3 days, exactly what they were told, the interpretation of their dreams, it came true. They were taken out of prison. But before that, Joseph said to them, "Please remember me when you go out there. Remind me to the captain that I'm in here. I was innocent." You know, I don't know if he told them what happened, but, you know, he asked them to remember him. And so they got out there and they totally forgot about him. The one was hanged, and the butler, he went back to his job, and he never said a word. And all of those things, you know, I have to believe that God was working it. It had to be that way. It may not seem fair, but when God does something, it's well done. He had to continue there for whatever. And I think I mentioned somewhere, or maybe I was talking to someone about a diamond. It has to go through a process to come out the way when we see the finished product. And for us as children of God, we go through things. It's not just, oh, you slide right into heaven. And so Joseph had to go through some things. Maybe there was something in his character. I don't see it. I don't know. And I would be the last to point it out. But God saw something that needed to be done. So he was left in prison there. I think it was for another 2 years. Anyway, while he was there, Pharaoh had a dream. And no one could interpret the dream. And that's when the butler remembered. He said, "Oh, I remembered my fault this day. There was this young man, a Hebrew. The spirit of the God, the true God, is in him. And he interpreted the dream to myself and to the baker. And exactly what we told him, it came to pass." And so the king was glad. He was like, send and get him. And they got him out of there, shaved him, washed him up, gave him nice clothes. And he went before. He said, are you that Joseph? And she said, yes. And he told the dream. He said, I was standing by the river and I saw 3 cows, 7 cows. And they were fat and looked so good. And, you know, real healthy looking animals. And then 7 mangy, meager looking cows came up and ate the fat ones. And they looked the same. They didn't look at the belly. In other words, the belly didn't look full. They looked exactly the same. And then I went back to sleep and I had another dream. I saw 7 ears of corn, nice, healthy looking corn. And all of a sudden, there was a blast from the east wind and there were 7 puny, meager looking corn. And they devoured the good corn. And I woke up and this was so troubling. And Joseph said to him, this is what the dream means. It means that for 7 years, there's going to be plenty. There is going to be so much food and so much prosperity for 7 years. And after the 7 years, there's going to be a famine. There's going to be 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine. And that is the interpretation. So my advice to you is that for those 7 years, I would advise you to get somebody, get a man, and put him in charge of harvesting and store up as much grain, store up a lot of grain and store up food more than, you know, because for 7 years, there's not going to be any food. And Potiphar said, the king, Pharaoh said, who better than to do this, than to have this job than you? And he gave him the job as the second ruler in the land of Egypt. And on top of that, give him his daughter to be the daughter of a priest to be his wife. So he came out of prison, and from prison to being like the vice president with everything that comes with all the props that comes with it, and a wife. He got a chariot with horses and all that good stuff. And he said, the only person that is higher than me, than you, it's me. Whatever you do, whatever laws that you make, however you deal with things, that's the way it's going to be. And so Joseph was made prime minister in the whole land of Egypt. And he went to work. So continue listening. Next episode, we're going to talk about what happened after Joseph became prime minister of Egypt. This story is going to continue, and for those who are listening, you're going to enjoy it. But like I said before, remember that when God is for you, no one can be against you. We just have to be sure that we are obedient to him, and he's our father. And a good parent always takes care of their children. And yes, things may happen, like Joseph, he went through some stuff. But that heavenly father, that good parent, the best of all, made sure of his safety and continue to bless him. May God bless you. And like I always say, Jesus is coming. He's coming soon. The signs foretell that his coming is near. Look around you. See what's happening. It's happening. So let's watch and pray. God bless. See you soon. Bye.